Hey, so Zohran Mamdani, or however you pronounce it exactly, is gaining a little bit of dangerous traction lately, and it occurs to me it might be because nobody really knows why the police are getting consistent calls for mental health, and it's not working. You see, there's an interesting push going on, and a wonderful circumstance that might come about equally. There's a really negative circumstance that might come about out of the pieces that are now moving about. Like I mentioned, there's a huge black hole of awareness, though, in the field, and it's being manipulated in front of people's faces, and it seems like most people aren't aware that they're being manipulated. For instance, a lot of encouragement from Zohran is in the discussion around defunding police and such things like this. Because, as he makes it sound beautifully, using statistics and other official information, that it's unreasonable to expect police officers to deal with the mental health crisis that is going on around the world right now. In order to do so, you would need to re-equip these police officers with counselling, psychology, and other facilities and resources to be able to handle the loads. I don't spend much time going into hours and hours of listening to certain individuals around the world just simply because I have better things to do in finding solutions to these things, rather than bouncing them around the place, manipulating language and information for my own agenda. So this is where I want to shift the conversation in two ways. Number one, I want to shift the conversation for leaders and political parties. Instead of leading on what they're going to do, I want to lead on where they're coming from. Intimately, I want to know what organizations you're a member of, what secret societies you're a member of. I want to know what international bodies you sit with, and everything else like this. I want that to be the subject of conversation. I don't want you to run around and talk about how you want this right now, because in 2 weeks from now, any human being wants something different than what they want right now. And that's not to say that people don't have focus and discipline and can hold long-term goals. Plenty of people can and do. But they do so very deliberately. If they weren't doing that, then they would be a lot more fluid in their environment. Now, for me, when I look at the scenario, I think about things like this. Yes, there is a situation where police are overburdened and given an impossible job. But that's also because generally in society, we're not given all of the pieces that we need to live. For example, mental health. It seems like psychology is built for two reasons, and that is to keep people coming back every month, or to push them off onto pharmaceuticals, and if a bonus, to keep them coming back at the same time every month. And I'm not denying the fact that there's benefit in that. But this is the thing is, are we aiming for a little bit of benefit, or are we aiming for the best that we can do? Are we a scientific, open, curious society, or are we're just going to go for the bare minimum society? And I'm of the prior. I'm definitely going for the best. I want the absolute best. Nothing but the absolute best for the next generations to come, including those already here. That's the way it's going to be. And so for me, when I look around at, say, all of these selfish people doing things in order to manipulate these games that people play in politics and bureaucrats and all of the other wonderful worlds that we have going on here, it was about a 7-year-old realization to me that realized that if we had a bunch of selfish people that were trying to manipulate people, that it seems like it would be in their best interest to make everybody get along so we could build more, we could get bigger, we could get better, and untap infinity. Because if you're greedy and you want power over things, then you want more power over more things and to have more things. So it seems like you would want to help the people here rather than suppress them. But then I have a very different way of looking at things, but that's because of this thing called cosmology. that we usually don't talk about. And that's why we need to shift the conversation onto this. It is not to say what people are doing right now, but where they're going on the whole. Because that's the key. You have plenty of scenarios in political history where somebody will come in and they will promise the world, and as soon as they get in, they turn around and become the exact opposite of what they're talking about. And I don't just mean in the Western world. This is how communism starts. They start by making promises to people, and then they fulfill those promises in a very technical sense that makes them okay to walk away, but leaves everybody else with a dry taste in their mouth and a really sore reality, because few people understand that it's not what people are doing right now, it's the cosmology of understanding that aligns with where we're going. That's the reason why we're not given these things in general discourse, why we're encouraged to be atheists and not attached to anything, because we're easily manipulated. If you don't stand for anything, you will fall to the next wind that blows your way. You'll take the next bribe that arrives and the next kickback or settlement or repatriation or something else, instead of following through and doing what's essentially right. We're taught to take the convenient way, quite often the more profitable way. And when we choose profit over energy, integrity, you can go find plenty of references to what goes on there in that sort of area of reality. This is where it needs to be seen and understood that unless we have somebody leading that is of the intimate understanding that everybody is of the same, that yes, while we do have our local neighborhoods and our local areas, that everybody is equally the same, that we have to realize that everything that we do impacts everybody as well as ourselves. And as such, for somebody like me, it becomes absolutely imperatively impossible, wonderful use of words, to cheat, bully, lie, underhand, undermine, have an ulterior motive, or otherwise somehow manipulate by omission in any other way whatsoever. I have to be the truth to you because I have to be the truth to myself. That is the world that is my existence. It's not predicated by who is present around me, where I am in society, what country I exist in, or what area of society I'm speaking in front of. I will be correct and honorable in my dealings in every way that I see fit. And that is my call of my reality. That is something that is completely missing from the entire area of politics, who have so many alliances across the board, both in the public and in the private, that is in the area of discussion for everybody to find out, and also other ones that are held off to the side, otherwise known as secret societies, because they're not allowed to be discussed in general public forum. These are laws. In fact, I like to remind people it's a definition in law and legality and in Australia and the Western world, that if you were to talk so much, after being subscribed to this, if you were to talk so much about the private in the public, it's considered a national security risk. If you reveal some of these secrets in the public, you are considered to be treasonous. Hence why a private list like Epstein's list remains private unless a certain amount of people make it happen. And I don't mean people as politicians, people of parliament, other people like this. I mean people, not persons. You and me. The real ones that exist. Not the ideas that are fulfilling roles and obligations. The ones that are living their life out here. The ones that are bearing the brunt of reality and that are paying for all of this with all of our effort and blood and sweat and tears, loved ones put into the soil. Wars fought, death, plagues, disaster. We're the ones that face the front of it all. People. You and me. That's why we're the ones that vote for it, not companies. However, it is becoming more and more easier now, ever more than before, for people to be at the bottom of the pyramid. People need to take their seat back up at the top and be re-educated about what's going on. And you are only going to get educated about things by somebody who can only speak the truth. Not somebody who is bound by agreements, other titles, nobilities, other contracts. Worldview and perspective of what's going on is what is possible for a human being. It is because of people's worldview that they do things the way that they do. You want to know why it's easy for the politicians to cheat the public? It's because in their worldview, it's possible for them to do that. It's not possible for some people. It is not possible for some people, but you will not get those people into those seats. They will lose their running seat. They will lose their ability to vote. Get votes. They will be bumped off the side of the paper. We've all seen in any country in the Western world, including Australia, plenty of instances where names are left off the side, columns are left blank. All things are, as was quoted recently in Parliament or in politics recently, over in the US, all's fair in love and war, they say. No, it's not. Do you want to know why? Because you're me, and if I hurt you, I'm just going to make the world worse for myself and my children. And with the wind. So we are off again. Tally-ho!